Hello again and welcome. It's the Flieger, and today we're going to talk about basic redstone stuff. It's been covered a lot, but I'm going to go ahead and cover it again because I feel like I can explain it better than maybe some of the other people can. And I can help you guys out from very beginning to middle stages to those who are ready to just kind of change up their game a little bit. And I'm just going to introduce some basic concepts that really are just used and compounded to achieve some of the awesome creations that you see. So we have redstone here, and redstone is your basic material. You'll mine it out of redstone block, and you lay it down and it makes redstone wire here, and the redstone wire is what takes the charge, kind of like electricity. So see here, 15 and then it stops. 15 is a maximum charge. This torch or the block, which is made of just all your redstone dust there, that's a block of redstone. And the block of redstone also carries a full charge. So this is what you can use to power your redstone wire and get it up and going to get the combination that you're looking at started if you need a constant charge going through that wire. Here we're going to talk about the redstone repeater. What the redstone repeater does is it takes a charge, and where that charge ends we put the repeater on there, and it repeats the instance of the charge and runs it all the way out to 15 again. It doesn't repeat the charge going into it, it repeats the fact that it has a charge and gives a full charge after the fact. So it will always give a 15 after receiving a charge in the front, and then you can delay it. As you see here, every time it passes through this, it creates a 0.1 second delay. Right now, this is a 0.1 second delay. 0.2, 0.3, 0.4. 0.4 seconds is the max for each repeater. So if you wanted 2 seconds, you could set 4 or 5 repeaters at 0.4 seconds apiece, and you would have a 2-second delay. This way you can time your redstone charges off one wire. Another thing that's unique about redstone repeaters is they actually allow you to carry a charge continuously. You see how the redstone dust automatically links. If you use the redstone repeater actually will carry the charge straight through here, and it won't go back over, so you can actually use the redstone repeaters to create a single file line with the redstone wire as well. So now we're going to talk about the redstone wire. So we're 3 short of where we started, so we're only technically putting in a 12 here, starting at the beginning of the signs, and put the repeater in and you get a 15 even though we put a 12 into it. So the charge, the repeater rather, will repeat the instance of the fact that it's receiving a charge no matter how large, and will always push it to 15 again, even if I dulled down the charge to like 1 with a comparator. So, and I'll show an instance of that real quick. And there you kind of see, and I'll show what that actually does here in a minute over here and how I just did that. But basically I shortened the charge, so it's actually only like a very little charge here. It doesn't reach very far. And you see the repeater still turns it into a 15 even though it only has like a 3 going into it. Levers always carry a full charge when you hit them. Buttons are the same way. They'll go a full 15 charge in a small instance. So now we're going to talk about what is on and what is off. These are always on when you place them. You cannot turn off a redstone block. You can turn a torch off, and I'll show you how to do that. Hoppers are always on. Hoppers be hoppin'. So you see here, if you place the hopper, they kind of direct themselves towards where you're going, and when you do the hopper, depending on where you click it at, you must crouch or shift click. If you place it toward another block, then it points towards that block, as you can see. We'll put in a bit of redstone dust, and it'll find its way down here. It just chases all the way down. Hoppers will always be hopping unless we turn them off, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. Then one of my favorites, daylight and reverse daylight detector. So right now I have the day set at full sun. The time is set at full sun. I turned the time cycle off so I could leave it here. You see here we're at 15, and this is full shine. If we needed it powered, if I alternatively click it, then it turns into reverse daylight or negative daylight detector mode. And now it detects darkness, which is really cool because you can use this for creating lamp effects with some reverse redstone torch engineering. So if it's nighttime, and we go to set time, or time set night, then you see here the sun is barely out, and so there's still a decent amount of light left. We are still 9 levels of darkness away from being entirely fully dark for the night. This is also affected by the actual weather and things like that as well, so it would kick on in a really bad thunderstorm or something like that if you had it hooked up to some light posts. Turn back to day, and default daytime gets us to 10 when I turn it to just normal day, so the sun's there instead of bright up in the sky, and so you see that it's only going to give us a 10 charge, which is really cool for setting up your base, setting up automatic lighted areas, things like that. It's really neat. Now we're going to talk about a little bit of block conductivities and hoppers not hopping. So what block conductivity is like electricity, where something will conduct electricity. Any solid block will conduct a redstone charge. Any see-through block, like glass or a scaffold or something like that, will not actually take a redstone charge and let it pass through it. Whenever you do this, it's like not using position 1 of our line of charge. So I still get a 15 even though my full charge is going into this block first. This is actually still number 1. So it's like having another full charge being passed through here and it's not being lost. If it was lost, then it would be 14 instead of 15. Lastly, we're going to talk about hoppers not hopping. So, hoppers not hopping. It's not going because it is turned off. How is it turned off? Well, the same way we're going to turn this torch off. So right now this torch is on. It's powering this wire running up to this hopper, and the hopper, as I said, is always on unless you put a charge next to it. The active charge cancels out the on hopper and turns it off. Well, the same can be said if I push redstone through the block using block conductivity onto the other side where this torch is, then this torch should pick up the charge coming through here. And the charge coming through here should cancel out the torch, which stops the redstone wire and allows the hopper to begin hopping. When we turn it off, the hopper stops hopping. So that's basically how that works. So that's just how on and off works as far as switching things and using block conductivity and torches to actually create on and off situations in a really basic form. Okay, so things that require redstone torch, or redstone charges, I should say. We have the dispenser. The dispenser is mighty. It can dispense a lot of things. My favorite is an arrow. When set up, this can be a really neat defense, but I do like a good arrow dispenser charge. Here we have the dropper. The dropper will not launch things at you, but it will drop them out at you. You'll see here if we put the arrows in here, they immediately give me the form of it, not the launching active form of the arrow. It is the inventory form of the arrow, so to speak. Observers. So what observers do is whenever you're looking at the observer, you see how it has kind of like the eyes, and then on the back of, and then you see the arrow there. Well, on the back of the observer, it has this little red light. The red light is where it passes the redstone charge. What the observer does is it looks for the instance of change in the block in front of it. So that means like here, if I activate the redstone, you see that little light up. Or if I turn it off, you see it light up again there. It saw this change, so it lit it up. Another way of using this, which is really cool, is you can actually put it on the ground and put string on its face and walk on it, and when the string gets stepped on, it recognizes that as well. That's a really cool feature to set up like a trap hallway or something like that. The observer is a really neat block. As you see, if I remove or add something to it as well, it realizes that. So, really neat. Pistons. A must-have in your base if you're creating that really neat disappearing door or appearing hallway out of the wall or whatever the case may be. You have pistons that are not sticky and pistons that are sticky. The difference is a piston will push something up to 6 blocks, I believe it is. 6. Yep, 6 blocks. But will not take the entity back with it. However, the sticky piston will take the block it's touching with it because it's got that blob of slime on it to have things stick to it. Typically, whenever you're using a redstone door or something, this will be in an on position, usually powered by a torch with an opposite setup, kind of like we used down here with the hoppers and the chest. But You can use them however you'd like. It's just a real simple way of getting that done. And the way that the pistons are reading the power is actually through block conductivity. If you put the redstone wire directly on the piston, when it changes its state from being like this to actually moving, it will kick the redstone off of it, which will cause it to close immediately. The other way of doing it is putting like a redstone torch somewhere around it other than right in front of it, and that will also give it a charge or a redstone block. Last but not least, the comparator. So this is the most confused item, hands down, in the redstone. And I set this up like this for a reason. So the comparator basically gains one charge, and the reason I say that is here we have it at a full 15, and we're one back. We're not directly on it with the torch powering it, so we have a 1, it goes in, and then it carries it and keeps going. If I replace it back to here, then you have 1, 2, 3 back, and we are on 13, which is only 2 back from a full charge. So as you see, this kind of carries an extra charge. And the reason we have this one in here is we can get rid of it, and it'll just carry the charge of the other side. But the reason this is here is, and you see the insert on the other side of it there, it compares the charges. So I have the main charge and then the comparing charge on the side of it. This is 3 away. I put the comparing charge 3 away, no problem, it's still working. If I could put the comparing charge at 2 away, that makes this charge stronger than this one. This compares it and then turns off and won't actually let that power run through at all then. We destroy it and it comes back through. And that's really all the comparator is doing, is it's comparing whether this signal charge is stronger than this signal charge, and it's kind of a true false coming through here. It's a great way to turn maps into yes or no questions or something like that. By answering the questions, you would activate a certain amount of redstone power to create a result. The other neat thing about this is subtract mode. So what subtract mode is it takes this main information and the side information and it subtracts them and gives us a mathematical result. So right now it's on 12. So the reason it's on 12 is 15 minus 3 is 12. So if I bring this to 8 minus 3 is 5, right? Right, 5. And if we change this to, right now it's on 3, so we'll go to 4, 5, 6. So 15 minus 6 is, you guessed it, 9. And 6 minus 6 is 0, which is 0. It gives us no charge at all. 7 minus 6 is 1. And that's really how negative mode works on the comparator. It's the main line here that we're using, and it subtracts it from the compared line and gives you the result. So you can use a controlled amount of power. That's how the item selector works. Really neat concept. It uses the redstone block right behind it to give it 100% 15 full power, and then it just deducts off on the other side using another comparator with the item frame selector. So really neat setup. I really hope that helps you and everybody out there on the redstone stuff. This video was inspired by a friend of mine and also a avid Twitch user, Tori53090. So he really wanted to learn more about the redstone in Minecraft here, and I'm really happy to help him out and also hopefully help all of you out. Make sure you check his Twitch stream, like, subscribe, and comment below here. And I appreciate your time. Thanks again. You guys are great.